Welcome back to Board Now, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast hosted by me, the final girl. And today, ladies and germs, we are on episode 2, technically episode 3 of Buffy. But I am so excited to talk about this episode. I'm so excited to talk about the witch and deep dive it and get into it. And we also have our very first guest to the podcast, and I am so excited. And I couldn't think of anybody better to come on as my first guest, but I would love for the Scooby Squad to welcome my friend Anthony Brownlee. He's an author, he's an actor, he's a producer, he's a sometimes social media TikToker person, but he's also a major, huge pop culture fan like me. And I just couldn't imagine talking to anybody first without talking to him. So, welcome to Board Now, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast, Anthony. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so excited. Like you said, I love like pop culture, and the '90s is like where I live, pretty much.
Why do you think the 90s is so popular with us? Like, why do you think we resonate with that so much?
Well, definitely because I mean that was our era. Like that's where we grew up. That's where we found a lot of ourselves, and most of us found a lot of ourselves in film and in TV of the '90s. So that's where we resonate. That's where we kind of find kind of home, a
I
little.
always say it's like food for my soul. Like it's like
Yes.
just such like a comfort. I am recently even I was watching HBO Max and I was watching Step by Step and I was like this just feeds my like little kid in the 90s. I don't know how else to explain it cuz like they weren't like perfect or anything and all that. Were you a fan of like the WB 90s stuff? Like which one was your favorite?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was all about the WB. I watched quite a few. Obviously, I love Charm because I love anything supernatural and fantasy based, and so that was a big one for me. And I actually really liked. It might surprise you. I really loved Felicity.
Me too.
I really loved Felicity, and I just for some reason like really resonated with Carrie Russell, even though I was like probably like in middle school. Set show started, so I
Yeah.
was like nowhere near college at that time, but
I think
something
we were in
about
like
her just
7th
seemed
grade.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
but something about her seemed so personable and like familiar and friendly. It's like, man, like she's just like, it's kind of like this all around cool chick, kind of, and she kind of, evolved with these friends of hers, which I just love.
When did you find Buffy? Like how old were you when you first saw it?
Actually, I found Buffy during season 2. Obviously, I knew about it because things pop up. Oh, this started, but I never actually started watching it until maybe halfway through season 2. But back then they would always show reruns like all the
Yeah.
time. So I was able to catch up like really quick. Obviously with season 1 because season 1 was only like 12 or 13 episodes.
Yeah.
So I was able to catch up with that really fast and then catch up with, the rest of season 2. And then so when season 3 came on, I was hooked, from, season 2 on or halfway through season 2 on, so like, I never stopped after that.
Like, what do you think made it stand out to you? Like, what was it that, like, you watched it in the middle of season 2, so you
Mhm.
didn't even know, like, the history of it. You didn't know Buffy's backstory other than the film and all of that, but, like, what was it that was like, "Okay, I've gotta rewatch all of season 1 and to the point I'm at now, and I have to watch every season after." Like, what was that for you?
It was it was really interesting, mostly because when I came in, it was already after Angel had turned into Angelus.
Oh, okay.
And so this like crazy, battle that they were going through and like the fact that she loved him and now, she potentially has to kill, the love of her life and how much she's struggling and everything she's going through. And I was like, huh. And I was like, something about that just hooked me. And obviously at that point I had already seen Scream 2 and I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I was already familiar with Sarah Michelle Gellar and I loved her, in both of those movies. And so it was kind of just real easy to follow her. And it was so much more deeper, especially after Angel was turned into Angelus. Like the series, I mean, it really took a dark turn when
Mhm.
that happened. I felt like that because season 2, I felt like that's when we really got the bearings,
Yeah.
of Buffy. Because season 1 was kind of like, oh, it's a brand new thing. It's kind of like, all the Scoobies. It's like kind of like that, that show starts like, maybe a cartoon is like got these little fun episodes and this and that. But season two was like, where it's like they brought out the guns, you know.
I always say that's when Buffy found itself. Like Buffy became Buffy in season 2. It found its formula, it found really its fandom, and it was such an amazing season. Who like was there any character that like really stood out to you so much when you started watching the series? Like who's your favorite character in Buffy?
Well, when the show initially started, I was mostly drawn to Buffy just because, I just always really loved that idea of like, someone, a regular person, a regular teenager, what have you, who has like inadvertently or, however it was, came upon these powers or these gifts. And now they're kind of forced to, deal with that and reckon with that and, find their way with that. So with her, because, as a bully kid, you're always looking for some form of escapism. And it's like I can kind of put myself in those shoes like, man, I kind of feel like this outsider. Yeah, there's people around me, but I feel like entirely alone
Yeah.
in a sense. And so I really resonated with her character, especially at the end of season two, because, she decides to walk away. And, that's, I mean, like I said, growing up the way I did, like you feel like that all the time. It's like all you want to do is just escape. You just want to
Yeah.
get away. And so I resonated with her first, but as the show progressed a little bit more and we're seeing more, I actually really loved Cordelia.
Ah, me too. Those
Like
are my 2 favorites too, Cordelia and Buffy, they're my 2
yeah,
faves.
she became obviously I love her because she just speaks whatever's on her mind, which you'd find out and you'll see it like what if it pops in her head, she's saying it, which I love about because she's authentic. Like as kind of crass as she is, as cruel as
Mhm.
she is sometimes, she's really like authentic. Like she's her
She's
true
herself.
self.
She
Like
says
she
what's
doesn't care.
at that moment in season 3 where Buffy and Earshot could read everybody's mind, and it's like exactly what's in her mind is coming out. That's her character. I
Right.
love that she has had so much, like, growth and development as a
Yes.
character, like, and what charisma brings to her, I just feel like nobody else could have played that role other than her. Sometimes I feel like, Sarah Michelle could have, like, played that role and charisma could have played Buffy, but when I think about it, especially after watching, like, this episode, like, she owns that role. Like, that is her. I during this first season, it's a little rough watching her character because at certain points she is so mean, and I feel like she doesn't evolve really until, Out of Mind, Out of Sight. That's when we really first see her. That's the episode with the invisible girl,
You're all
and
right.
he's the Mayfair queen or whatever it is. I feel like we really see a different side of Cordelia in that episode, and then season 2 hits, and she's just I mean, she's the best. Like, she's just so good. She's a part of the Scooby Squad now, and,
Mhm.
like
I love when she became part of the Scooby Squad.
well, speaking of Scooby Squad, this episode that we're about to deep dive into, The Witch, I feel like is really the first episode that the Scooby Squad like forms. They even talk about it. They even say it. I made a note in here and we'll get into it where they're like, we're the Slayerettes. And so I feel like this episode is kind of the formation really of the Scooby Squad. And I feel like it's such like a great episode. It like showed really kind of from the start what this series is going to be because those first 2 episodes I always count them as one, which is why this is episode 2. Um and so the first episodes was really great because it's like their thesis. This is what the series is going to be. It's about this superhero teenage girl who has to hide her identity, but she's got her friends. And then the witch comes along and it's like, oh, but it's not just vampires. Like
Mm.
we've got other stuff going on. And it almost sets it up kind of like that tone for the monster of the week. And I feel like it does a really good job of expanding the world of Buffy without making it feel cheap. And it's one of my favorite episodes in season 1, and I think it's one of the most important episodes to the series as well too. But, like, where does it rank for you?
It's pretty I put it like right there in the middle. It was a really decent episode. It was a and that was a it was actually a dark episode, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it really kind of set, a different, like I said, a different kind of tone, like when that episode came, especially when you really find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And, like, just how vindictive, like, the whole time you're thinking like, "Oh, Amy," like, "Oh, wow." It's like 'cause, even at one point, Willow thinks that, or Buffy thinks that, Amy's, like, kinda doing these things, like, unconsciously,
Right.
somehow. And then you find out, no, it's really not, but then you find out, oh,
The
like,
twist.
the
Yes.
she was like, "What?" Eh yeah, it was yeah, I remember watching that episode and just being, like, kinda even still now, just remember being, like, jaw dropped because she's like 'cause Buffy's the first one that kinda recognizes it, just by that small little, detail of
Mhm.
her just eating, those little cupcakes that she was eating.
Yeah. So let's jump into the episode. I've got my notes right here, and we're going to read the description of it, and then we will break down the episode. Buffy continues her journey into trying to be a normal girl, and that includes becoming a Sunnydale High cheerleader, much to Giles' chagrin. At tryouts, she meets Amy, a former brownie loving teen trying to live in her all star mother's shadow. The two become fast friends and alternates. This upsets Amy, and one by one, the Sunnydale High cheerleaders are being picked off. It appears Amy is a witch. But surprise, it's a body swap episode. And now it's up to Buffy to stop Amy's mom from trying to relive her glory days. I love this episode so much. To me, like, right away, that opening scene, it's, like, so iconic. Like, I love how, it's showing, like, Giles and Buffy's relationship and how, she's, like, pushing him. Like, it's more than, like, irritation with him, like, she is pushing him to be a better watcher and a better almost parental role. He's gotta learn and pivot how to train her because she's not the normal Slayer, you know? Like, she's making him less rigid. And I just love the dichotomy when she comes in with the cheerleading stuff and she's like, "What? Like, you think it's wrong?" Like, and she's just it's just trying to show that she's, like, literally just a normal girl.
Right. Normal 16-year-old.
They're, like, at the cheerleading tryouts and, there's, like, the funny moment with Cordelia where, like, Willow is like, "That girl's on fire!"
Oh,
And
yeah. No,
Cordelia's just like,
she's like, "Whatever." Like, "Okay." And she said, "No, she's really on fire." That was hilarious. I laughed because I have not watched this episode in, like, it's probably been like years. But I used to, like I said, watch those reruns so much that I always remember that particular line though, because it was so hilarious. Like, just watching, and then, like, obviously Buffy just, like, goes into action, like, immediately. Like, she doesn't hesitate. And I remember even kind of just being freaked out by that, just like, oh, like, that's, like, terrifying. Like, for a teenager, like, all of a sudden your hands are, like, caught on fire. And like I said, that, I mean, just the opening itself just set the tone for that entire episode.
I remember being a kid, seeing her hands on fire and just being freaked out.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I don't know what I was expecting the show to be when it first came on because we were so young, we were, like, 12, and so when I saw that scene, I was freaked out, like, the whole episode in general, kind of there's a lot of, like, suspense around
Mhm.
Amy too, like, it's wild. What I love, though, is I love that this episode establishes Xander, Willow, and Giles as, like, the Scooby Squad, but they're calling themselves the Slayerettes. Eventually, they'll become the Scooby Squad. But I love that it's, like, creating that format for them where, like, Buffy says to them, "You don't have to do this, guys. Like, this isn't you're not a part of this." And they're kind of like, "What are you talking about? Like, of course we're a part of this," you know? And it's like they're like jinkies, you know? They're
Mhm.
doing their whole, like, little Scooby Squad thing. I love it so much.
It was just cool because, as that me being that young, I looked at Buffy as all like a popular girl. She just kind of had that, you know, kind of charm about her that, you would just automatically think like, oh, she's a popular girl. Like, like I said,
Yeah.
she's going out to be a cheerleader, and but she has like this, like, kind of group of misfits that are with her. Like, I feel like I would have been one of the misfits, because I
Yeah.
was definitely not popular at all. And so it was just, I was always searching for something like that. It's like, man, that would just be so cool to just have my little league of friends. Like, even if it was just one other person, we just kind of did our own thing. And I think that's why it resonated with me a lot because I could see myself a lot in, a
Yeah.
lot of that because like I said, I kind of felt like a misfit. That show had so much like attraction to it that way for me. obviously there's, the slaying and, kind of the
Yeah.
horror and this is, the supernatural stuff going on. But when you just break it down, it's just, especially that first season, it's just a group of teenagers just trying to survive high school,
Yeah.
you know? And, that's what we were all trying to do, at that stage. But I'll tell you something weird though, is just because I haven't watched season one in so long and just like
Yeah.
Xander's like, lovelorn, you
Oh
know,
my gosh,
ideas
yes.
on Buffy. It just kind of, I was like, oh, like it didn't feel right because, I'm just so used to like the later seasons and, there's just more friends. And it's like, oh yeah, I was like, man, he was like pining for Buffy in like those early episodes. It sounds like, nah, I said, this just like does not feel
He
right.
gives her the
Like,
bracelet, and it's, like, etched in, like, with the "always yours" or something, like, it's
yeah,
like even it catches her off guard. She even is like, "Thanks," like, "Okay," but she's wearing it, though. She wears it in those auditions. Yeah, he very much is lovelorn in these first 2 episodes. I think this is the episode where it really kinda, like, sets that tone where he becomes, like,
full
a little
cute.
obsessed with her, and, like, I think I always say that, like, I'm not a big fan of the Xander character. I think he's important to the series, but I think that there are important episodes with him, and I always joke that I'm not all He-Man woman hater club when it comes to Xander all the time. But I think that, like, his obsession, like, it goes even further, like, into season 2, but I really think by season 4, at the end of season 4, that episode Restless, like, he really realizes his role in Buffy's life, but it sucks that it takes him 4 seasons to get there. In season 5, I really like who Xander is. I think he is starting to mature into that role of realizing that he's the brother and that he no longer has that crush on Buffy and he no longer
Mhm.
it's no longer it's out of that type of love and worship.
Right.
It's more out of like I love you as my little sister type thing. And
Right.
he's I don't know, I feel like he's just a really good character this season. But then in season 6 he like loves it again.
Yeah, yeah. I kinda, like, fell off the Xander boat. He was just a little too, like, so judgmental and kinda always had this, like, haughty attitude when it came to, Buffy and, like, her relationships and that's another reason I love, like, Cordelia, like, in, season 3, when Buffy comes back and, Xander's, like, kinda ripping into her and, like, Cordelia's like, "Wait a minute, like, why don't you step in her shoes?" I mean, she says in her Cordelia way, like, "Obviously, I'm a freak and I pick a freak for a boyfriend." Like, I mean, she says
Right.
it in her own way,
Cordy,
but she
get out of
right,
my
but
shoes.
right, right. I mean, she says it in her own way, but she's really coming to Buffy's, like, defense, like, like, yeah, you're, her friends, you've done stuff, but she actually is the Slayer. She's the one who holds most of these burdens, like, on her shoulder, and it's like, she fell in love with this guy that she had to kill, you know?
And, like, everything that he does is, like, motivated through jealousy, you
Yeah.
know? Like, he even, I think eventually, like, in the episode Angel, I think it is, where, like, he's like, "Oh, because 'cause I'm not broody and I'm not this, I'm not that," and she's just he like, sh she's clearly not into you. Like, I don't understand how it couldn't be more obvious. And then in, like, it's actually, like, heartbreaking in the season finale of this season to, like, watch him ask her to the dance and she, like, shuts him down and stuff like that, like, if you haven't watched that episode in a while, I would definitely recommend watching
I
Prophecy
remember that.
Girl.
I remember because he's at home and he just looks so he's, like, in the dark. I remember that.
Yeah.
He looks so sad and just so, like, depressed.
But
Just
even when she's, like, telling him, she's like, "I just don't see you that way." Like, he still just doesn't it never registers to him. It gets under my skin. So I have a question for you, okay? This is something that just, it's something that I've wondered throughout as I watched the series, but, like, in this episode, it's kind of, like, really, like, hit me. Does Joyce own the gallery, or does she just is she just the curator? Because it's never established if she's the owner. She references it as "my gallery," and she gets all the art delivered to her house constantly. We
right.
even see it in season 3 with Pat, where the mask,
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's like she's getting stuff delivered to her house, but, like, does she own the gallery? And if she does, like, how lucrative is this? It's Sunnydale. Like, who's buying that much art that, like, is it really that she just really lives off of her ex-husband, the alimony and the child support from her POS
Wow.
husband? Like, or, like,
Actually,
what it like It's like something like I would like it like hit me. I was like when she was like unboxing the statue with Buffy and she
Oh.
was like, it's a fertility god thing, and Buffy just like I love that moment where Buffy just lifts the top of it
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's
it's like
nothing.
like George doesn't even like realize it. She even
She's so oblivious.
right.
But like for real, do you think she owns the gallery or do you think that she just works there?
Well, now that I'm really thinking about it, maybe she does own it. I mean, especially if like she's getting all that stuff shipped to her house,
Yeah.
like all that, product, like or inventory, I guess. Like, 'cause I feel like that would be like well, maybe she's like a manager. Maybe she
But
like
why
a
would she have it
manager.
delivered to her house then? Like why wouldn't she have
Man,
it delivered to the business?
I, wow, like I
Mind
really never
blown.
thought about it. Wow, yeah.
Now you're gonna not think about it. That's why you're gonna
Right,
be
I'm
and then
like, every time I watch
afterwards
the episode, I'm like, I'm gonna wait to, like, listen for it. Like, did she
and
say
then
I
when she
actually own
dies,
this
if she
place?
owns the gallery and she dies, what happens to the gallery? They never talk about it. They never like, when Willow, like, tells Buffy that she's
Right.
bankrupt in season 6, like,
Oh,
was there
yeah.
no, like, insurance on the business
That's
either?
right.
Like,
Dang,
it's
yeah. See,
it's
maybe that's why
wild.
I'm thinking, like, maybe she was just, like, the manager. Maybe somebody else owned it and she just kinda, like, helped run it. Like,
Like, she was a curator or
there's
something.
something, and that's why she had it delivered to her house because, like, maybe her and one other person, like, so, "Hey, like, do you mind if this gets sent to you to look over, since you're, like, my new business partner," or, whatever, something like that. So I could see, like, maybe a manager at least.
Well, I'm gonna ask the Scooby Squad, if anyone's listening on the Scooby Squad, what if like, leave that comment, like, what is your opinion? Do you think Joyce owned it, or do you think that she was just, like, the curator? Um, I love that this episode introduces Amy. Like, she's such a good secondary character, and I
Mhm.
feel like the series does that really well. And my favorite thing about her is that, like, she is not like a she's an important character to the Buffy, like, mythology, but she's not a featured character constantly. She's, like, in the background, or she pops in on, like, important episodes.
Or that episode where Willow accidentally, like, summons her back for, like, 2.
Yes. I love she's like, "I'm not even good. I can't even turn look at what I did to Amy." It's like 1 minute, it's like, poof, she's human. The next, she's a rat, and it's like, poof, poof. Like, it's such a funny moment.
I remember that moment, but it's like, "No way," and it's like, bam, a rat. I said, "What?" I said, "They didn't like, that was hilarious. I'd
It's
never
like the
for
best cameo. It's the best ca it's like
right?
so unexpected. It's like I love it. I love that she pops up like that, or she's like in important episodes in like season 3. She's in the gingerbread episode, and it's like all
Mhm.
about like anti-bullying and all of that type of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. And like I feel like um we learn a lot about her relatively fast, particularly
Right.
in this episode, and she's like a but it's not rushed, we get a quick history of her, like, she grew up with Willow and Xander as well too, and, she's a they call her the former fatty. As a former fat kid, I hate that, like, I hate it so much, like, there's so much stuff in Buffy that, like, I'll watch back and I'll, like, cringe, like, "Oh, it was so 90s for the verbiage," but, like, she loved brownies and she loved all of that
Mhm.
stuff, and it becomes, like, a plot point. But we learned that, like, her mother was this all-star cheerleader, and she's, like, living in the shadow of her, and, it's like it's really like, it goes up against, like, Buffy and her mom because Buffy's mom is like, "Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" And, it's like it shows the difference between, like, a kind of like a supportive mom who's a little pushy and then, like, a
Mhm.
mom who is not supportive at all and very
Yeah.
pushy. But as we know, that eventually twists. But
Mhm.
I love her. I think that she's such a great character, and I love how they introduce her to the series.
It always kinda, like, breaks me a little bit because, later on, she becomes kind of like, she gets really kinda I don't wanna say evil, but,
Dark.
she gets yeah, like, dark, and it's like, ugh, it's like, I didn't wanna see her like that because, that introduction of her was so good, like, just this girl who just wanted to, live her normal, boring high school life, but her mother was just like, "No, like, you're
Yeah.
wasting, this body, and I'm taking it," and, she talks about how her and her dad are gonna have, like, this, kinda like, junk food fest and,
Yeah.
yeah, just stuff like that, and it's like, it was just kinda sad to, like, see her, like, later on, become, darker, and part of me can kinda say I can I guess not agree with her, but, like but being a rat for so long, like, like
Yeah,
that, I mean, how did that really, like, affect her mind? You know what I
right.
mean? To be in this kinda, like, isolation in a sense, because she's just this rat in this cage for, like, several years.
Yeah,
And, she's missed out on her life. She's missed out time with her dad. And, you know, s- how does that really affect somebody?
right.
That stuff I didn't, ask myself when I was younger, but it's like as you get older and you're watching, it's like, man.
I feel like for Amy, because she is such a secondary character that they didn't like really truly explore like what that trauma could have been for her. And I think that you're right. I think it just showed up in other ways. Like when Willow like started using magic almost as like a drug. And
Uh-huh.
so like in comes Amy and she's like, yeah, like here it is. Look at what I've gotten into. Look at all of this. Because it's like maybe that was her coping mechanism. And it shows like because that was Willow's coping mechanism. So maybe that was something that they could kind of relate on. But, like, I wish that they would have. I wish they would have done something a little bit more with her, instead of, like, doing, like, the comedy aspect of it, because when she turns human, she's like, "I gotta get ready for prom. Prom is next week, blah, blah, blah." And they're like, the high school's not even there. It's like, that's like an existential crisis. Like, imagine coming out of that, especially from this episode, like, what we see all the trauma that she has, like, gone through in her life, like, with her mom and then all of that stuff, and then to come to that point, it's just I love her character. I even, like even when she's being her mom, I love her character because in this episode, like, I where Cordelia, like, comes into play and, like, she shows her true fangs in that one moment, in the
Uh-huh.
locker room, but then you
Oh,
also see Amy kinda, like, give it back to her too, like, where
right.
she's like, "Rrr," and I feel like what this series does, particularly in this moment, I feel like it, like, does suspense really well, and I feel like it builds really well into it, and when they're in that locker room and it's, like, the camera's, like, moving and it's through the showers and it's dripping,
Mhm.
it just feels very, like, horror, and then
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes up on Cordelia and Amy, and I love Amy in this scene. It's, like, so I think the bullied kid in me, like, loved it because it's, like, the bully is finally getting it, like, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna give it to you," but then as we see it's like she gives it to her in a way that, like, the Sunnydale heightens it, and so it's
Right.
like, you know, the aftermath is like that it's, like, not so secret that, like, Amy is a witch, and so she's putting the spells on everyone, and she puts the spell
Mhm.
on Cordelia, and I think it's hilarious that, like, they try to conceal that it's Amy, but, like, it's so obvious that it's
That's
Amy
right.
is the witch, especially in when she wraps Cordelia's head with a scrunchie. You
Mhm.
hear her voice, like,
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, come on. It's like, it's so obvious. Do you feel like Buffy that first season, I guess, was like a horror series? A lot of people don't. They think it's like very satire, makes fun of horror, but I feel like there's so much horror in it.
There's a lot of horror elements, definitely. Like, like those certain episodes where you really get it. And like especially like The Witch. And another one of my favorites from season one is of course I can't think of the name right off, but the hyena episode. Because I just watched it
Yes.
again
The
recently. Like
pack.
that, yes, that was a dark episode. I mean, yeah, they kind of had fun with because like hyenas, but that when I think about that and that pack and that laugh and just how that guy comes out and he's like with the markings on his face and use his eyes are just it kind of reminded me of like like early Freddy or something like just the way his
Yeah.
eyes looked. It was like I remember as a kid that freaked me out. Just that guy, the way he looked and just so there was a lot of horror elements in the show, but I mean obviously there was definitely a lot of satire, and I felt like it found its more darker roots in season two. Like, for me
Yeah.
personally, I think it found more like I said, that you get it in season 1, but you get it more in season 2.
Yeah.
And so I think it, just kinda but I feel like it's always like that with, kinda shows like this because in a way, it's kinda, like, trying to find itself. Like, this is the introduction, this is what's happening, but eventually, it's gonna evolve because it's not always gonna be fun and games. Somebody's gonna eventually get hurt, you're gonna
Right.
have a loss or um you're gonna have this trauma, so it's just inevitably gonna get darker because everything just can't always be sunshine. Oh, we did it. Like
Right.
it just can't be like that. So I think it's always a progression.
I feel like this first season, I feel like is that, and you just made me realize that right now that like this first season is a very happy ending at the end of every episode. It's like everything is solved. It's one-off. It's like and I think that's why we call it the monster of the week because it's like they've got the big bad in the episode, they cure it, and then they end on, like, a funny moment. But you're right, like, after season 2, it becomes like not everything is so happy, and not everything is so bright, and not everything is answered in 42 minutes and 13 seconds or however long the episode is, you know? It's like and I think that's why it expanded so much beyond what this first season is. A lot of the fans, when they're recommending the series to people, they say, "You just gotta make it through the first season. Just make it through the first season." And as I'm gonna be deep diving through this first season on the podcast, I feel like my mindset is kind of, like, changing a little bit because that first I always Welcome to the Hellmouth and Harvest, I always count as 1 episode, and so when I rewatched that and even rewatching this, I just had the realization that, like, it was good right from the start. Like, yes, it wasn't what it became, but, like, there's a reason why, like, the little fandom that it had when it started was there and why we latched onto it because it was so good. I don't think if the one-off episodes were bad, I don't think we would have stuck with it, you know? It just the formula changed, and there's nothing really wrong with that.
I felt like Prophecy Girl was probably a prelude into what season 2 was going to be,
Yeah.
because that was, that was really the first time Buffy, eh, at least I feel in season 1, really had to deal with her own mortality.
And she accepted it.
Right.
What I think is that Buffy, like, accepted herself, but at first she quits and she's like, "I'm just a 16-year-old girl. I quit. I don't want it. I don't want it." But
Uh-huh.
what she sees happen is she sees the destruction around her, and she sees that the people that she really cares about, like Willow and Xander, but, like, really with Willow when she had that moment, like, the fear in her eyes, and Buffy is like, "I know I can stop this. I know it's my destiny to stop this. I know that's who I am," and it's, like, the first time to me that she really accepts that she's the Slayer, because this whole first season, she's, "I just wanna be a normal girl. Why can't you people leave me alone? I moved here to start over. I don't wanna do this. I wanna be a cheerleader. I wanna go on dates. I wanna have this. I wanna have that. I find a guy that I really like, and it turns out he's a vampire with a soul," and it's like it's everything kind of just builds up into that moment, and she's just like, "I quit." And then when she realizes, like, her person is so affected by that, that, like, she's like, "I can't quit. I've gotta do this, and I accept that I'm a slayer, and I accept that's who I am." And I feel like that's the first moment where she acknowledges, like I mean, sure, she says it throughout the season, "I'm the slayer. You don't know who I am." Blah, blah. She uses it in, like, a attitude type way, or she uses it in a way of, like notoriety, like, "Oh, you should know who I am," type thing, but I feel like it's
Yeah.
truly accepted of her in Prophecy Girl, where
Yeah.
she truly gets this
Absolutely.
is what a slayer has to do. If I have to die to stop this, then that's fine. I'm gonna go up against the master, and it's such a good episode. You know what I love about, this episode is I love that it shows Joyce and Buffy's relationship really, like, starting, and it shows that Joyce isn't a perfect parent, that, like, she can fuck up too and that she can be harsh on Buffy. But what I love and what I feel like why Joyce is such an amazing character and why she's such a good mom is because she recognizes in that moment. So there's that moment where her and Buffy are there and she's trying to like tell her to be on the yearbook committee and Buffy's kind of like making fun of it and it's like hurting her mom's feelings because that's like
Yeah.
what she did, you know? But then Joyce says, "Well, whatever it is that you're into got you kicked out of school, and we had to move here just to find a decent school to take." Like, it felt like a dig to Buffy, and it felt like reactionary to kind of like Buffy's being like, "I don't wanna be like you. I don't wanna have to work on the yearbook. I wanna do my own thing."
Right.
And so when Buffy but the look of hurt on her face and she, like, leaves, Joyce, like, registers that. She recognizes that. Like, she's not like, "I'm right" type mom. She's like, "Great, great, Joyce. Look what you just did. Recognize how wrong you are." And I think that that's what makes her such a good mom because she's empathetic and they're just learning. They're, like, both figuring it out together.
Mhm. And it's always what I noticed in the episode is, like, whenever they are interacting, that it's always in the kitchen in that episode, like, always.
Yeah.
And it's like, I always thought like, "Huh," I was trying to figure out the significance of that, like, it wasn't like, oh, she saw her up in the room or, started in the backyard or they were just coming in or what. It was always in the kitchen in that particular episode. And it seemed like Joyce was always preoccupied with something else. Like I said, she didn't
Mhm.
notice when Buffy just kind of like, threw her hand up and just opened the crate and was kind of like, ugh, like, okay. And then like she used to cut, she was like, if you could make yourself useful and help me, and then she just flipped it off. And it's like, and it just kind of shows like how, in a way, I kept thinking it was some way of escapism.
Yeah.
And she's really trying to make this work and she's like putting her sole focus into this. And then Buffy's trying to put her sole focus into the cheerleading aspect. And
Mhm.
it's like the two things that they're doing aren't necessarily meshing. And it's like they like, kind of congregate in this kitchen and just kind of go back and forth. And it's like, hey, this is going on. Like, my mom, like my friend Amy's mom kind of helps her with this. And like, well, sounds like Amy's mom doesn't have a lot to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was just kinda like, dismissive, but I don't know. It just kinda just like I said, it was just like almost like an escapism, but she realized what she was saying because there were times she would say stuff, she was kinda go, "Mm." Like, she was kinda look at it and then she would see Buffy's face. Like, so she was present, but at the same time trying to escape. And, like, I really like I said, I haven't watched this episode in years, and, like, now, having that really thick, kind of writer's brain that I have now, it's like I watch, movies and shows like that more often. And like I'm not even like trying to. It's like it just I'm like, huh, like what would she be thinking in this moment? Like how like what would her inner monologue like that's literally
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about a lot now. So
'Cause
now I'm
think
really
about it with Joyce,
yeah.
they don't really dive into this aspect with her, obviously, 'cause she's not the focus of the show, but, she's going through a lot of changes too. She just got divorced, she's moving and settling into a new town where she has no friends either. We know that Buffy doesn't really have a whole lot of family. She has an aunt, Joyce's sister who lives in Illinois, across the country. So it's like, think about her too. Like Joyce is going through a lot of changes. And when you look at it, now being older, watching it, like Joyce is our age. Like
Yeah.
I'm Joyce's age.
Right.
And so I'm still young. I'm still thinking about what I go through and the experiences that I have in my life. And I can only imagine if I had a 16-year-old daughter trying to raise her and make sure that she's doing okay and not burning down the gym at her school. And it's like, cause she doesn't know why Buffy's this way and Buffy can't tell her mom, which sucks because we learn later on in season 2 that Kendra's parents gave her to her watcher. So it's like Buffy, I think she knows that her mom probably can't handle the truth. I think that she knows
That's
that her mom probably can't, and we find out later on
that she
and that
can't.
she did tell her mom, and they put her in an institution. But at this point in the Buffy
Yeah,
lore,
yeah.
we don't know that. And so it's like it sucks that she kinda can't come clean to her mom, but it really does just show that this series, invests in its characters and not just the main core 4, it invests in everybody else around them that, Joyce is a fully fledged character. She's, got her own thing. I love that
Yeah.
eventually she starts dating and, living her life and, eventually she's got some friends here and there. And, one of the things that I love that the series does really well is it does twists really well. And in this episode, the twist is fucking iconic. So Amy is the second alternate and Buffy's the first alternate. And so that means that she's gonna take out a few of the cheerleaders to come on the team. And so Amy does. She takes out a couple of the cheerleaders and then they discover that she's the witch by doing the test and that angers Amy and so she puts a plague on Buffy. And I love when they show up to her house and there's that moment with Amy's mom, but then it's really Amy. It it blew my mind as a kid to see that twist. Oh my gosh, this is where they're gonna go. And the actress, forgive me, I can't remember her name offhand. I should have noted it. But the actress who plays her mom is so good. She's so good at playing Amy and then flipping when, they flip, it is I that scene where she's, talking to Buffy and she's just saying, "My mom told me that I wasn't doing anything with my body, and so she took it." I was wasting it away and I wasn't doing anything, and I just it's so heartbreaking because she's playing the role of a 16-year-old and clearly like a 35-year-old body, you know? So she's like playing this role of like a 16-year-old. And it's just so good, and then when it flips, like, when Giles does the cure and they do the reversal spell, and she comes up and she's like, "I shall look upon my enemy." It's just so good. The twist to me, like, really shows, like, really shows that, like, this series is smart. Like, that it just is so smart to do something like this because it was so unexpected.
That's what I mean, like, just very, very good, like, horror elements that were just popping up in that first season. Like, I mean, how can you just imagine that? Like, like she said, "I just woke up one morning and I was in my mom's, like, room in her bed. I didn't know what was going on until I looked in the mirror." And it's like, you really, like, imagine that you wake up and you're in someone else's body, and it's just like,
Yeah.
especially someone older than you, and you're just like,
It's like the Sunnydale version of Freaky Friday.
yeah, the dark version,
Yes.
like the crazy dark version. Man, oh my gosh. I said one image that sticks, especially when I was younger, that stuck with me so bad was when they were doing the test, the witch test in the
Yeah.
science room, and the teacher, you can kind of hear the teacher in the background kind of talking, but you're trying like paying attention to what Buffy's doing, trying to like, get this test, and the girl's like, "Hey, are you oh my God." And you're just like, "What?" And he turns around and her mouth has like been sealed over by like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. I just remember that as a kid, and I was just like, ugh, like it just like, oh, like the girl that I mean, that act I mean, even though it was like, brief, like just her acting, just like how she just panicked in her eye, like everything was in her eyes. It was just so wide. I mean, like you can't speak, you can't do anything. Your mouth is literally gone.
I'd feel
It's
like
just
I
like,
couldn't breathe.
oh,
Like, I know that
ooh,
we could breathe through our nose, but, like,
right.
I think just internally, like, I like talking and we're breathy people and stuff. I think that's to me, like, when I see her freak out like that, and she's so good. This actress is so good. Like, I just it's she's only in it for, like, a minute, and, like, it's just it conveys so much, like, fear. She conveys so much fear that I think, like, that's what I think of when she's freaking out. Like, I'd be like, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I wanna," like, how are you supposed to breathe and function? It's such a good and then even Amy has that fear in her eyes, like, it's just the whole scene is acted so good. Like, Buffy bumbling and being kind of like which is the hydrocortisone, and Amy's, like, the one labeled the hydro whatever. I'm not a scientist, but, and so she's like, "Oops," and she drops her pencil, like, it all feels very like how a high schooler would be, like
Right.
nervous and not be perfect
Right.
and
She's not a
secret,
detective,
like
right? And like a
yeah.
seasoned detective trying to be slick and like hide the camera on somebody or something. Like
Right,
I mean, yeah, when you're a teenager, you just do like, oh, like, oh, like you just, oh, okay, like, yeah, I guess we're like, you just kind of like fidget. That's why I kind of
right,
like, she was like very fidgety, and like she just couldn't like, get it right. No, I feel like Buffy, like, a few years later would have got it, but Buffy in season one, like, no way. Like,
right,
and it was hilarious how she just picked, and you could tell Amy saw her take the hair off the hairbrush because she kind of looked at her
right!
like,
Like,
oh,
how did you think that you got away with that?
I was like, she kind of smiled like, okay, like, yeah, that was good. I like that. That whole scene and that, like, it was just, like there was just so much going on, and then like you just don't expect, and then like she turns around and her mouth is gone, and they're
Yes,
just like, oh, like because then at that point Xander's like, I don't think it's Amy. Like she was freaking out with the rest of us, and
yeah,
Buffy's just like, I think she's doing it, but doesn't realize she's doing it. Like
she's our
and
Sabrina.
yeah, so yeah,
To me, when her mom flips back, when Amy's mom flips back, it's probably my second favorite moment in this episode. My first favorite is when they're having the conversation and she's just like, "Amy? Are you Amy?" But my second favorite is where the spell is reversed. And I think a couple things about that scene. One, do they not realize that when the spell is reversed, that she's gonna be back in her body? Like, I would have put her somewhere else. I would have been like, "Amy, you've gotta go into the cage in the library and just stay in there so that way your mom will be trapped in there." But, like, I don't know if they just didn't realize that or, like, what, because she's right there, and when the spell gets
right.
reversed, it's an instant shift,
Yeah,
and
because
I
she's like, it's working. Like they're seeing each other's like, Amy can see like she's on the court, and then the mom can see that she's like in the science room, like weird stuff is
yes.
just happening, and then like the pyramid drops, like when she like collapses. And I remember the one main like head cheerleader like, Amy, what is your problem? And she just looks at her, and then that cheerleader's kind of
She like
just like
growls. She's like,
she's kind of like
ah.
she's kind of like backs, and she's just like you see how freaked out she looks. Just like whoa, like she doesn't even like attempt to say anything else after that.
I love when Buffy like pops up from behind her. She's like, guess what? I feel better. And then
Yeah.
she like throws her
Oh my
across the room.
god, man, she
And
tossed her like she hit the glass and the. Like, I was like, damn. Like, I remember watching. I was like, damn.
like Buffy's pissed. Like she's like, I'll put a plague on me again. I'm gonna whoop your ass. Like but then she does the spell and Buffy hits the mirror and she, she disappears and we later learn that she's in the trophy.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I love it because it's like the show's longest running gag.
Yeah, yes, and that terrified me to be and the fact that she was in like and for how long she was because it's like you kind of forget about it
Right.
until that episode where Oz is just like, oh, it's kind of like this thing's eyes are like following you, and I'm just like, holy crap, like she's still.
Well, what happened when Sunnydale blew up? Like when or when the school like blew up? Like what happened to her?
I
Did it release her
I
or like
just thought about that when I watched that episode last week, and I was like, man, I always felt like maybe she was released or she died, and some kind of oblivion or something,
ugh.
because after that, then she's not referenced anymore. I mean, because the school was like completely gone. I
Oh
mean,
my
because
God,
then they
get us in the writer's room of the revival series because what if when this season, that first season, what if she's a townsperson and she's like damaged and whatever and Buffy like recognizes her and it's like a callback to like, she was released, like so she was released out of the statue. Maybe she like learned her lesson and so now she's afraid of Buffy if she sees Buffy or something. But it
that
would
would
be so cool to have her be a
yes.
townsperson 25 years later.
That would be amazing. Cause like, yeah, I feel like she will learn her lesson. I mean, cause I mean, the fact that you were stuck in a statue, I mean, it literally can't do anything but just watch. That's the only sense that you have is just watch.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and like if the school hadn't blown up, I mean, she, would have been in there forever.
Yeah.
Cause even Amy said, she said, I have no idea where she is, but she said, I know it's bad. She said, I would never cause trouble again. She said, so
Right.
know that wherever she is, it's not good. Like,
You know what's wild is that like isn't it Oz that like is the only one that knows that she's in the statue, but doesn't even know that it's her. It's just because the eyes move. So think about that. Like they didn't even know. They're standing there
none
by
of
the
them
case
knew.
or nothing, and they couldn't even tell that it was her.
Nobody knew what happened to her. They didn't know she was in some kind of hell or what. Like, but that was her own personal hell. Like, she gets to be the cheerleader forever.
Yeah. I found the statue. I found the actual statue that they use, and I'm thinking about getting it. It's like $5 on eBay. And so I'm
Oh
thinking about
wow,
getting it and putting it in my collection up here because how the exact statue I found. And so I thought like how iconic would it be that like if the cheerleading statue is in all of my like on my podcast episodes. I think it would be hilarious. Because to
that would
me,
be
it's like
amazing.
an amazing way to end the episode. Like in such a because it's like, yes, it's like a fun poppy ending, her and her dad
Hmm.
are gonna pig out on junk food, but then it's like there's still that element there that
Yeah,
oh, there's a body trapped in this damn trophy.
yeah, that's dark. Like I said, like forever. You're forever that cheerleader that you were striving to be.
Yeah.
That you use magic to steal your own daughter's body for, and now you get to be it forever.
I feel like this episode is just such a pivotal episode to the series. A lot of times when we're telling people in season 1 episodes that you could watch and that you could skip, I feel like I always tell people you have to watch The Witch because
Yeah.
it sets up the lore. It sets up the lore for the remainder of the series. And I don't think
Yeah.
you'd get any of the Amy jokes. I don't think you'd get any of the stuff in the rest of the series. But I don't know. I just felt like it was a really great episode, like
Mhm.
fresh out the gate, like fresh out the bat.
And it's like I felt like they did a much better job back then with with even though they got less episodes, I felt like they did a better job with the character development. And I feel like a lot of the shows, it's like they just kind of force it on you now. It's just like, okay, this person is this person is this person is this, and they like flesh it out in like 2 episodes or something.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no room for them to grow. But I felt like within Buffy, we got to watch them each character just kind of like go through their own thing. Because even by the end of like that first thing, like Cordelia's already kind of like with the Scooby,
Right.
you know, 'cause, with that second season opener, she's telling Buffy, like, "Your secret's safe with me. Like, I'm not,"
Yeah.
and so she's already kinda established, and it felt natural that she,
Right.
ended up becoming part of it. It wasn't like it didn't feel forced,
Right.
So that's what I kinda liked about, that's what I said, that's why '90s is like I said, that's our era, like, I mean, like, they were just really good at storytelling, like,
Nothing tops it. Nothing tops the 90s to me.
yeah.
Where does season 1 rank for you on your ranking, like, out of all your 7 seasons?
I would put it I would say, because season 2 is probably my favorite.
Ooh,
It's probably
yeah.
my favorite. So season 2, then season 3, and then maybe season 1 after that. And then I pretty much like no, I really like season 6. So season 6 is pretty because that season just went oof, yeah. Like, I don't wanna say it because I know you're gonna, like, deep dive into those, but yeah, that's a killer season. So that's probably actually, season 6 is probably top 3 for me. So I would
Such a
put
rare take. See, it's like season 6 being your top. That's so rare. Like, a lot of the fandom does not like season 6. I love all the seasons. There's not a
yeah.
season that I hate,
I don't hate any of the seasons.
but
Yeah.
a lot of fans do not like season 6. It is mind-blowing to me. I'm like, "It's so good." Like, it's just such a like, you get Willow as a badass at the end,
Right.
like, you find out Buffy was in heaven. Like, there's so much stuff
Yeah.
packed in season 6, and it's so good. Like, it's
And now it's her that's lost to me. To me, she was trying to find herself again. Like, and I felt like she basically like, she died and now she's been reborn, and now she's, like, in a sense, starting over all over.
yeah. Like,
You know
who
what I
am I?
mean? Who am I? And, like, so now she, like, making those mistakes again,
Yeah,
like, that she probably wouldn't have made, like, before that. Because I felt like she hit her peak literally at the end of season 5, and I feel like that's the way it ended,
yeah,
like, that the reason it ended like that, and then now it's kinda like now it's like I hit the very top, and now I'm like, "Where do I go now?" Like,
right.
where can I go? There's no, replacement Slayer, like, that option is gone, like, I've already died once, so now it's just me, and, like, what do I like, my mom's not here
Yeah,
anymore, and, like, now I'm the adult, like, I have to take care of my, sister who's, she's not this key anymore, now she's, like, a young adult that's gonna be growing up and,
I gotta shape her, I've gotta mold her. What does that look like for me? Yeah, it's such a good season, and I don't get why the fandom doesn't love it in the way that we love, like, 2, 3, and 5, you know? But it's such a good season. I gotta ask you, 'cause I'm gonna ask all of my guests this, but I gotta ask you, what is your Buffy hot take? Is that what it is, that 6 is the best? Or, like, what
um,
what what is your Buffy hot take?
man, I feel like I have a few, 'cause I'll say I mean, am I allowed to say a few?
You can say however many you want.
Sure. One of them is, like, I'm pro Buffy and Spike all the way, like, Buffy and
Not a
Spike are
hot
my
take.
number ones. They are my number because people know
You're a
they are my
Spuffy.
number ones. I love them. Like, I wanted them to, like, get married or like, that's how much I loved Buffy and Spike. They fit to me, like, they fit like a glove, like, I felt like she found her person in Spike. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Well, Angel, man, F Angel, okay? F Angel, like, is Spike to me, like, 100%. And I'll say another hot take, I am not an Anya fan.
Stop the recording right now. No, I'm kidding, I'm
Oh,
kidding. You like what you like. I'm not one of those
so
judgmental people. I'm like, if somebody's like, "I'm not an Anya fan," even though I am obsessed with Anya, I'm not gonna be like, "Beep," but no, that's wild to me. Why are you not an Anya fan?
she just I don't know, she just, like, just irked me, and, I mean, granted, she had, like, some fun moments, like, I'll say one moment that I love, especially when Buffy is, like, a robot, like, the first time and they don't realize she's a robot, and Buffy's like, "Anya, how are you? How's your money?" And she's just like, "Fine, thanks for asking." Like, I don't I cracked up, that was hilarious. I mean, that's, like, pretty much Anya, like, that's one thing I can give her credit for, like, she's another person that's, like, 100% her. Like,
Yeah,
she's not gonna sugarcoat herself, but I just could not get on the Anya boat.
That's so
And then
wild.
once her and Xander broke up, it like he felt like an outsider after that. Like
Yeah.
and it was and you could really feel it. Like it was like, man, it's like when she comes around, it's kind of like, oh, like it doesn't feel right anymore that she's like even part of it. It was just like so weird, but that's kind of like how it is sometimes with your friends, like in real
Yeah.
life. Like, your friends might be dating somebody, you might be cool, and then they break up. It's kind of like when they come around, it's like because you're closer with the other person, and so it's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
like and it really felt like that. And I don't know, I just she like I said, she had some like fun moments, but I don't know, she just did not hit. She's probably like my least favorite character, like of
Oh
like.
my goodness. Just that is a hot take. I love it though. I love
I
it.
know, and that's no like nothing for Emma Caulfield because I love Emma.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I hate the character of Riley. Like, Riley gets under my skin, but I love Mark Blucas. And I think
Uh-huh,
Mark Blucas is an amazing actor. And one
uh-huh.
of my favorite episodes in the entire series is Into the Woods, the episode that Riley leaves. And it's not because
Mhm.
Riley leaves, it's
Right.
because of their acting. It's because of Mark Blucas in it and James Marsters and Sarah Michelle Gellar. The three of them are phenomenal in it. But yeah, so it's like you could hate the
Yeah.
character, but you could love the actor,
There, yeah, yeah. And I actually liked Riley. I actually thought because I felt like Riley because I felt like he was that. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Like, okay, because Angel was gone,
Yeah.
and so like that's all Buffy knew was her and
Mhm.
Angel. Like, that was going to be her forever. Like, and Riley was kind of like, in a sense, like the rebound guy, but he wasn't the typical rebound guy because he wasn't. Buffy wasn't the only one harboring a secret. In the
Mhm.
relationship. So they both knew that there were dangers in this world, but they're in a sense they're both human. Unlike Buffy and Angel. So I felt like Riley could almost have been like everything Buffy could want or need, but there was it was almost like he was a stepping stone. It's like she saw him as that, but it was almost kind of like that, like I said, that first step. Like, oh, this is the person that I could see myself with, but I'm not quite there.
I really think that he could have been the perfect partner for her. But the problem is with him is that he gets in his own way. He feels like he needs to be bigger than Buffy. He needs to be stronger than Buffy. He feels very inadequate next to her. And so I don't think that he ever allowed her to fully love him.
That's why I say I just felt like he was lost.
Yeah.
He wasn't mature in himself to know that just yet. So like he had more growth to do. Like like I say, like all the characters had to find some. I feel like they all mess up, even when like years down. Like, oh, like dang, you did this, and it's like so I just felt
Yeah.
like he had his own growing to do, and it just kind of happened at the wrong time.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Well, listen, it has been so much fun having you on. I have loved breaking down this episode. I loved chatting all about Riley. I loved talking your hot take, which is hilarious to me because like the fact that you're a Spuffy fan like is not a hot take to me. Um, but it's been so much fun. And when we do season two, I don't know exactly what we're doing the format, but I know that I want to have more guests and stuff on. I think we're gonna do some fun panels and stuff like that. And so I would love for you to come back on and chat more about all of that stuff because it's just been so much fun. But Anthony, tell the Scooby Squad where they can find you. Like where can people find you?
You can find me on pretty much all the socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can mostly find me at Anthony underscore the underscore dreamer on Instagram and TikTok, but on Twitter you can find me at Ant Lost in Horror, and Facebook you just find me at Anthony Brownlee.
I'll have all the links. I'll post all the links to everything.
I just make sure they all get changed like one.
You need a link tree. That's what you need. You need a
I
link
do
tree for
actually on all my socials, like my link tree is attached to my bio and all my socials.
I'll have his link tree and I'll have his link tree in the about me section. Because you could also buy your books.
Yes.
Anthony's an amazing author and your books are on Amazon, right?
Yes, they're all on Amazon. And I am currently have been working on one for the past 8 years, and it is finally in the finishing stages. The goal is to get out this month for obviously, October horror month, but it may be next month, but we'll see. But that's the one I'm really excited for. It's called Fear of Silence.
And I'm currently reading it. I get an advanced copy. That's part of being the bestie. And it's so good. It's so good. I can't wait for you to like release this. It's so good. And one of the cool things that happened to you recently at a convention, do you want to tell that? Like who
Oh yeah.
bought your book? I am so obsessed with this.
So, we went to a con a few weeks ago, and one of the major people I wanted to meet was Jasmine Savoy Brown, who you all should know from Scream 5 and Scream 6's Mindy Meeks. She's one of my new favorite final girls. Like she's amazing. And she and I just just got to talking and I just, let her know that, yeah, I write books and I kind of said it offhandedly a little bit and she's like, wait a minute, you write books? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, like, how did you even start this? And I was like, she was like so fascinated. I was kind of like, oh wow. And I was like, I said, me personally, I've just always wanted to, I've been a horror fan since I was a kid, and I've just always wanted to see, people who kind of look like me and more, the proactive protagonist roles as opposed to like the secondary, comedic relief roles. And she was just like, where can I find your books? Like immediately. And I was like, well, I was like, they're all on Amazon. I said, I have some copies at home, but those are like my personal copies. But I said, I could get books, like, just if you want to, like, have one. She's like, yes, if you bring it to me, she said, I will buy it from you. Like, she said that, I guess she said, but I didn't even realize she said that. I was just going to gift it to her.
Right.
And, and so, I brought it to her the next day. I made it out to her. And she's like, "How much is it?" And I'm just like, "Well, these are usually 25. I was just gonna gift this to you." She's like, "No." She's like, "Absolutely not." She said, "What's your Venmo?" And she literally she sent me more than I even told her that it was.
Like,
So
how iconic that, like, Jasmine Savoy Brown would not even let you gift her a book. She's like, "No,
yeah,
I'm gonna support." Like, that
yeah,
shows her true character
yeah.
as a person.
And she took a pic with my book.
Yeah.
Which is so I usually have people do that because I was talking to her about it. I was like, "Well, what I usually do is have people, like, send me a selfie and, like, I'll say, oh, this person now has, this book to add to their book collection." And, I said, "But I know you're a celebrity. I know it could be, like, image laws or image things going on." So I say, "If you can't, like, I completely understand. But, like, if
Yeah.
you're able to, like, I'll take it." And she's like, actually said, "We can just take the pic right here." And she just let me take the pic of her at her table. Hold my
So
foot,
cool.
which I was just like, "No way." It's like, "No way did this just happen."
I love that moment for you so much. Well, thank you so much, friend, for coming on. It's been so much
Mm.
fun.
Thanks for having me.
And that is it for episode 2 of the Board Now podcast, Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast hosted by me, the final girl. And make sure you guys are following us everywhere that you listen to your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple, the videos on YouTube, and make sure that you guys are following and that notification bell is clicked so you're aware. Make sure you're following my TikTok because that's where some of these clips will be before the episodes premiere. And I can't wait for the next episode. The next episode is Teacher's Pet, and it's an episode that I skip every single time. And so I'm excited to watch it and deep dive it with you guys. And until next week, thanks so much.